Welcome back to the BattleTalk show. I am your host, Noah Adamani, and good Lord Almighty, folks, I am absolutely over the moon to be back on the United Football Media YouTube channel. And boy, oh boy, do we have a ridiculous amount of things to unpack with our beloved St. Louis Battlehawks. We are coming off of a 2-game slide with a tremendous amount of tumultuous play on the offensive end, mainly at the quarterback position with Manny Wilkins and, of course, Max Duggan having to step in once Wilkins went down in Week 4. Folks, you could not have drawn it up worse for these St. Louis Battlehawks. Right from the get-go against the Arlington Renegades, things were a true mishap. The first drive of the game, Manny Wilkins goes down with a non-contact injury, and you could tell on the play that this was going to be an extended period of time where he would be out. And of course, we've learned he will be out for the remainder of the 2025 season, which is extremely costly for this football team. And from then on, Max Duggan was not ready for the moment, unfortunately. And I am a Max Duggan believer. I had a great deal of confidence in him, having watched him play at TCU down the stretch of a storybook season, and was honestly surprised to see him out of the NFL after just 1 year with the LA Chargers. So I was excited when St. Louis was signing him and entering him into the fold, potentially a 2-quarterback system this year. And now it's all eyes on Max Duggan. And you could tell he was really just uncomfortable out there against a stout defensive unit in the Arlington Renegades. And tip of the cap to that football team. Of course, winning a championship just 2 years ago. They are poised for a potential deep run in the USFL playoffs and possibly playing for a championship in our home stadium, which would be truly disappointing. But folks, this game against the Arlington Renegades was nightmare after nightmare. When you talk about turnovers, the first drive of the game, Manny Wilkins goes down with the injury, ends up fumbling the football, and Arlington runs it back for 6. Shortly thereafter, Shakur Pearson, who we have believed as a sure-handed punt returner and wide receiver, fumbles on his way down after a remarkable punt return. And of course, Arlington recovers. And even then, we stayed in the fight. Max Duggan did not have a clean game, but he put the St. Louis Battlehawks in a position to win with less than a minute to go, either tying the game or taking the lead to avoid overtime. I mean, more than likely the Battlehawks would have, if they scored the touchdown, gone for the 1-point conversion and, of course, tie up the game to go to OT. But down the stretch of the football game, Duggan was there in a big moment, and that 100-yard interception return for a touchdown by Arlington was not his fault. It came off of the hands of Gary Jennings, which, of course, we shouldn't be in a 4th-and-goal situation, but I really do not fault Max Duggan for that one. The ball was a little bit behind the receiver, but ultimately, as a professional football player, you have to pull that ball in and not leave it up to chance. And that's exactly what happened in the closing minutes of the football game against the Arlington Renegades. So as we look ahead, folks, this has to be the turning point for our beloved St. Louis Battlehawks. Duggan has a full week to prepare as QB1 of this football team, and he has a ton to prove. Someone who was bounced out of the NFL after just 1 season. Not many teams picking up the phone, this winter to give him an opportunity back at the highest level. And he's taking a chance on himself in the UFL and now has the stage to do so and shine at the spring level and give himself a potential opportunity to sign to an NFL training camp come summertime. Because we know this, folks, that the UFL is the league of opportunity. We embrace that as spring football fans and seeing our guys ascend to the next level come July and August. But here's where we get down to it. You have Max Duggan as QB1 from now till the end of the season, unless the struggles continue. Maybe you go with a Brandon Silvers or a Chavon Cordero. But I do not anticipate the struggles continuing. We finally get the Offensive Player of the Year in Hakeem Butler back in the lineup. His first game back since week 1. And who better for a young quarterback with minimal starts under his belt to form a connection with than number 88, the trusty, sure-handed wide receiver that can go up and grab the football at a high level. That connection needs to be cemented right out of the gates. And of course, this offense has leaned on Jacob Sailors all season long. You could very well argue through 4 weeks, Jacob Sailors is the front runner for Offensive Player of the Year based on his production in the red zone, scoring touchdown after touchdown. So I have a tremendous amount of faith in this football team going into Saturday night at home against the Michigan Panthers. And I have to tip my cap to the Michigan Panthers because they have really sharpened up compared to last season. They have found a dynamic quarterback in Bryce Perkins in his second year with the club, but has cemented himself as the starter, a dual threat quarterback who can score the touchdown on the ground as well as through the air. He has been possibly the biggest surprise in the UFL this season. So, of course, the Battlehawks will have to sharpen up defensively, not allowing 20 and 30 plus points like we've seen in recent. But, of course, some of those points do not reflect how our defense has performed this season, as there have been so many takeaways on the offensive end, leading to points for the opposing team in either plus territory or running the ball back altogether. We obviously saw it last week with 2 defensive touchdowns based on blunders from offensive players in the silver and blue. So, folks, going into Saturday night, it's the main goal of containing Bryce Perkins in the ground game, make him stay back in the backfield, and force him to pass. We have a tremendous amount of production and talent at the secondary level. Chris Payton-Jones, Quinterio Cole, Brandon Sebastian. We have a very talented group at that level. And of course, Willie Harvey in contention for a potential Defensive Player of the Year so far. Of course, running the football back for a pick 6 of his own last week to keep the Battlehawks in the fight. If the Battlehawks do not win on Saturday night, it will be a tough climb back to prominence and for a playoff bid in 2025 because our conference has been strong so far this year between Arlington and Michigan. So, folks, I am anticipating a St. Louis Battlehawks victory in primetime on Saturday night in front of hopefully 30 to 40,000 strong at the Battle Dome. We have to get our numbers up in attendance at this football game and move this season in the right direction to a 3-2 record, as we are already at the midway point come the conclusion of Saturday night's football game. You have to put faith in the quarterback, support number 14, trust in his abilities, and of course, Anthony Becht has a tremendous amount of faith in him, and we have certainly put all of our eggs in the Becht basket these past few seasons. So, folks, the final score on Saturday night will be 26 Battlehawks, to a 22 Michigan Panthers. A tally in the W column for the home team. And as always, caw is law.